This week in Jamaica Now. A week of death. 6 high school students killed in tragic circumstances over 7 days.
We're not in favor of a phased approach to decolonization.
Constitutional reform hits a roadblock. The opposition says no to removing the king and keeping his court. The government says it's moving on.
We will continue to pursue consensus.
A man who murdered his wife for her insurance has been convicted. The woman's father is happy.
Today is my birthday, so it's a special birthday gift.
And
I cannot live without her, jeez.
the search is on for a missing primary school teacher, Danielle Anglin. I'm Jovan Johnson, and this is Jamaica Now. 6 high school students died under tragic circumstances over the last 7 days. On Monday, the Catholic College in Mandeville, Manchester was the scene of a murder. A 17-year-old boy has been charged with murder and wounding with intent following the stabbing death of 20-year-old student Akeelia White. The two reportedly had an argument, after which the boy allegedly left and returned with a knife, which he used to attack Akeelia. In Kingston, a 15-year-old schoolboy was among 3 persons killed in a drive-by shooting incident at a complex on Wild Street off Windward Road. He has been identified as Maurice Morgan and was reportedly on his way from Holy Trinity High School, which he attended. The 2 other deceased have been identified as 23-year-old Savina Clark and 20-year-old Troy Dennis. Another 15-year-old male student remains in hospital. Eyewitnesses say a Toyota Mark X motorcar drove up and occupants swiftly disembarked and unleashed a barrage of gunfire. On Tuesday, 2 grade 9 students of Titchfield High in Portland, Jajon Winter and Onaja Wilson, were killed in a motor vehicle crash. 5 other students were hospitalized with injuries. Principal Richard Thompson said the 2 deceased boys were promising students who were destined for greatness. It's reported that shortly after 4 p.m. on Tuesday, a car being driven by a man was heading in a westerly direction towards Buff Bay when it slammed into a parked truck loaded with boulders. The truck was at the side of the road after developing mechanical problems. On May 10, a 14-year-old female student and 2 adults, including her father, were killed in a motor vehicle crash along Bay Road in Little London, Westmoreland. 48-year-old welder Alwyn Savario, his daughter Shanique, and business manager 43-year-old Owen Barnes were among a group on a bus heading towards Negril for a crab hunting event when the incident happened. Shanique was a student of the Godfrey Stewart High School in Westmoreland. Businessman Omar Collymore was found guilty of orchestrating the January 2018 murder of his wife, Simone Campbell Collymore, and taxi driver Winston Walters in St. Andrew. Contract killer Michael Adams and accomplice Dwayne Pink were also found guilty of facilitating the murder. A 4th man, Shaquilla Edwards, was found not guilty of murder, but was convicted of conspiracy to murder. The 7-member jury deliberated for almost 2.5 hours. Mrs. Campbell Collymore and Mr. Walters were shot dead when men rode up on motorbikes and sprayed them with bullets as they waited to be let inside her apartment complex in Red Hills. The mother of 2 was shot 19 times, while the taxi driver was shot 5 times. Her father turned 58 years old on Wednesday, the day his son-in-law was convicted of murdering his daughter.
My name is Wayne Campbell, father of Simone Campbell. I don't know the other name. Yeah. Yes, today is my birthday, so it's a special birthday gift. As usual, my daughter always delivers on my birthday.
Oh, yeah?
And that's the last birthday, my gift was an iPhone. Yes, so the reality of the situation though is that with this birthday, we won't bring her back, but we'll have some form of position. You understand? So at the end of the day, we'll have something to say to the kids and to say exactly what transpired, and this is the end. You know what I mean? And it's an unfortunate situation, but at the same time, in our grief and in spite of everything that happened, we still have to give God thanks. We still have to give God the glory. He knows why He allows it to happen. You know what I mean? So we still not leaning on our own understanding, still trusting God.
The jury accepted the Crown's argument that Mrs. Campbell Collymore was murdered by her husband for an insurance worth over $100 million. Mr. Collymore, who was born in Barbados and held businesses in the United States, also maintained that he loved his wife dearly and would never kill her. And former People's National Party Member of Parliament Jolyan Silvera, who is charged with the murder of his wife, was denied bail when he appeared in court this week. His attorney and King's Counsel Peter Champagny says an appeal is under consideration. 42-year-old Melissa Silvera was found dead in the couple's home in Stony Hill, St Andrew on November 10 last year. It was first reported that she died in her sleep from natural causes, but an autopsy revealed bullet fragments in her body. Her husband was charged with murder in January. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang is reporting a 56% drop in the number of gangs operating in Jamaica since the start of the year. He was making his contribution to the sectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
2024, at the beginning, there was 244 active gangs. So far this year, we have only identified 106 active gangs. We have seen 27 convictions in some 5 gang trials, including our famous Klansman trial. Right? No problem. In a democracy, we expect any government in power to take some steps, but we executed. We built the force.
And Dr. Chang has announced that the Jamaica Constabulary Force is to collaborate with the Delaware State University in the United States for graduate-level training for members of the police force. He did not give details on the costs. On May 10, the Delaware State University conferred an honorary doctorate on Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who also addressed a graduation ceremony. Back in 2022, chairman of the ruling Jamaica Labour Party and MP for St. Mary Western, Robert Montague, who accompanied the Prime Minister, announced that the university would partner with 2 high schools in the parish on an associate degree. Jamaica's constitutional reform process is facing a major setback amid renewed disagreements between the ruling Jamaica Labour Party and the opposition People's National Party. Opposition leader and PNP President Mark Golding says his parliamentary representatives will not support removing the British monarch as Jamaica's head of state without the removal of the UK's Privy Council as Jamaica's final court. Under the Constitution, the government must get support from at least 1 opposition senator to get the 2/3 majority needed as part of the process to remove the monarch.
We're not in favor of a phased approach to decolonization. We're not in favor of having 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the King's Yard. We must either be in or out. Can't be neither fish nor fowl. Time come to deal with this matter once and for all. Generations are going to have to live with this. Jamaican people should have access to justice now to their final court. It's been denied them from slavery to now. Very few cases go to the Privy Council from Jamaica each year. A small fraction of appeals that are adjudicated by the Court of Appeal here end up at the Privy Council for the benefit of the learning of the final court. I'm prepared to wait. I want generations to come to have a good constitution. I want generations to come to have access to their final court. Shanique Myrie got justice because of her access to the CCJ. She wasn't a rich person. She couldn't afford to take a case to London, but she got justice. The court came here and heard her case, and Barbados had to pay her damages for having wrongfully excluded her from Barbados. And that is a kind of benefit I want the Jamaican people to have, not just on treaty issues around CARICOM access, but on all issues to do with constitutional rights, commercial disputes, and criminal appeals.
The latest problems have emerged after Mr. Golding instructed his members on the Constitutional Reform Committee not to sign a report with recommendations for Phase 1 of the reform process. That phase does not include the issue of the Privy Council, on which the Prime Minister Andrew Holness has not shared a position. This week, the government said it received the CRC's report and will proceed with a review of the recommendations. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Holness said he had to break his silence on the issue, noting that he and Mr. Golding met and had an understanding that the process would proceed in phases.
I am disappointed, but I am not surprised. I'm not surprised that they would have tried to find every way out of seeing this process through to its rightful conclusion. I would like to say to the Jamaican people that the efforts that the government has made is not in vain, that we will continue to pursue consensus, because the truth is that you cannot disturb the constitutional and governance architecture of the country without consensus. That is the reality. And consensus takes time, and it takes effort.
Meanwhile, a proposal from Mark Golding that the Constitution be amended to allow members of the diaspora to be elected to Parliament has drawn criticisms. The current Constitution blocks Jamaicans who have citizenship outside of the Commonwealth from holding a seat in Parliament. Mr. Golding said the diaspora plays a key role in Jamaica's economic and social life, especially through remittances. He said as long as a Jamaican citizen meets the residency requirements and swears an oath of allegiance to Jamaica, their dual citizenship should not block them from seeking to become members of the Parliament. However, officials in the Jamaica Labour Party have pounced on the proposal and highlighted that after the PNP lost power in a close contest in 2007, it lobbied to have several JLP MPs who possessed dual citizenship removed from Parliament. Senior JLP member Michael Stern said Mr. Golding's position and the timing of it appear questionable. Mr. Stern was among several JLP MPs who were ousted by the court after it was revealed they held U.S. citizenship. They were re-elected in by-elections. Chief Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Jacqueline Bisasor-McKenzie, on Wednesday said Jamaica stopped using the Astrazeneca COVID-19 vaccine in July 2022. She was addressing concerns arising from news that the manufacturer of Astrazeneca has withdrawn the vaccine from the market. She explained that the withdrawal was linked to a low demand for Astrazeneca as other advanced vaccines were developed, which shifted demands.
No, we're not administering the Astrazeneca vaccine anymore, simply because it has not been on the market. Okay, and just generally to address the concerns that have been in the public space for a few days. Side effects I note that persons are concerned about tend to happen between 3 days to 3 months. So some persons are wondering if I had received AstraZeneca then in 2021 and early 2022, am I still going to have this possibility of these side effects? And the answer is no. The likelihood of developing those side effects 3 days to 3 months. Okay, so I know that's something that persons are worried about.
Prominent children's rights advocate and founder of the Hear the Children's Cry lobby, Betty-Ann Blaine, died on Monday after ailing for some time. She was 75. Hear the Children's Cry described Mrs. Blaine as one of their most heroic and dedicated advocates. Prime Minister Andrew Holness said Mrs. Blaine's passion and commitment have touched countless lives. Chief Executive Officer of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, Laurette Adams Thomas, said Mrs. Blaine was a child protection stalwart with a warm yet indomitable spirit. Mrs. Blaine, a former university lecturer, founded the group Hear the Children's Cry in 2002 and Youth Opportunities Unlimited in 1992. Hear the Children's Cry was integral in the renaming of the Ananda Alert System from its former name, the Red Alert System. The organization also influenced policy changes which resulted in the wait time to report a missing child from 24 hours to immediately. Mrs. Blaine was born in Kingston and was raised in Harborview, St. Andrew. She attended Excelsior High School in Jamaica and Hunter College and Columbia University in the United States. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner, and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, turn on your notification, and subscribe today. I'm Jolyan Johnson, and before we go, the search continues for 29-year-old St. Peter Claver Primary School teacher Danielle Anglin. Her mother, Denise Anglin, has been a picture of distress. Danielle Anglin was last seen at home shortly before taking a private taxi service on May 13.
Jesus, oh God. Lord, I cannot live without her, Jesus. I've never been through this before, oh God. Why this, Lord? Why, Jesus? You couldn't stop them, Jesus. I served you for 50 years, Jesus. Why allow them to take my daughter? Jesus, oh God. Jesus. Jesus. Lord. Send help, Jesus. Send help, oh God. Jesus, have mercy, Lord.